What's up, everyone? Major Tom here, and I'm gonna do a video actually, two videos today. And normally I don't do a whole lot of this sort of video. When I do, it's very rare. It's usually because I find an interesting opportunity. And yesterday I was watching Lou versus Wall Street. Hate him or love him, whatever. And he was talking about a play called ILUS on his live stream. Like anyone who offers me a play, I do my own due diligence before I buy. Like, I look into the stock. Anyways, I look at ILUS. I do my first sniff test, kind of, sort of. I go to look at the fundamentals because initially I just see it as a 7-cent penny stock, and then I look at, the market cap of the company. So at 7 cents, it's valued at 98 million. All right. Normally that would be like a little concerning on a sniff test. But then I go down to the income statement and look at the quarterly gains. All right. Now this is pretty important here. I look at the Q2 revenue and I see all of a sudden their revenue goes from like 3 million, 5 million, 3 million, and then boom, 20 million. So instantly, when I look at their quarterly revenue, I go, what the heck? Which then led me to see, what are other people saying about it? Let me go on Twitter. So I go on Twitter. I see a lot of people saying that this is going back to 50 cents. And then basically, ILUS has their own Twitter page they um, where they basically announced their earnings on October 5th. With a strong Q3 resulting in further quarter-on-quarter growth for ILUS, we remain well on target for our 140 million in audited run rate revenue this year. Our assets are also growing exponentially in the short term. Now, as a trader, especially when you're looking at just return on investment, you want to see what's going on in the short term and the long term. Okay, it's not just enough to say, hey, this company is looking to do 10% next year, because an analyst on Bloomberg told me that that Apple's going to do 10%. I'm going to invest in 10% and hold my money there for an entire year. That's just dumb. I could just invest in the S&P 500. Right? I'm not looking for 10% gains here. I'm looking for a more aggressive trading strategy. So with this, I see a strong Q3 resulting in 140 million in audited run rate revenue. All right, let's take a look about what 140 million by the end of the year could look like for the stock. So currently trading at 7 to 8 cents per share, right? That puts us at a valuation of 98 million. Now, if all of a sudden we go from making 20 million in revenue per year to 140 million in revenue per year, which means that their next quarter, Q4, is even stronger. Q4 usually being announced in November. I have no idea when their Q4 is going to be announced, but because their Q3 was just announced on October 5th, I can only assume that it's going to be well after November, probably looking at December or January for their Q4 results. What I'm expecting to happen if revenue continues to be on track to hit their 140 million goal. And I'm not saying go out and buy ILUS right now. I'm saying let this hype over the last earnings report kind of dial down a little bit. You might be able to even get this thing for like 7 cents because it looks like it just floats around 7 cents, right? When it naturally floats, like right here, it looks like it just floats in the realm of 7 cents, right? So if you can get this for 7 cents, big if you can get this for 7 cents, it doesn't look bad. It actually looks really good. And normally I don't go for OTCs, especially ones that are like 7, 8 cents. But the interesting thing about this company is the other big concern with OTC markets is that the company isn't real, right? The company's not a real company. But then I just saw this as well on Twitter, and someone went to the ILUS office and took pictures with the CEO. So this is the ILUS CEO. No, I'll get myself out of this picture. This is the ILUS CEO right here. This is the guy that kind of did his own DD. He wanted to go see if his investment was real. Of course it is. They have a office in Dubai and they have an office in New York. Seemed like a pretty cool guy. Um, Now, if you don't know much about ILUS and what they do, right? They're basically an acquisition company. So they acquire other companies and then they look to make money off of it. Much like Berkshire type deal. Like Berkshire acquired a plethora of companies. They started in the insurance realm and then they branched out, but these are the companies they've acquired. Um, a six-wheel electric utility vehicle. It's the world's first and only. This is the first company that they acquired. These UTVs look amazing, actually. They have 30 kilometer per hour with load speed, 600 kilograms loading weight, um, 80 kilometers of travel on a full battery. These things look badass. They're E-Raptors. FB technology. So this is kind of like the pole that he was holding in his picture. This looks like it's a, emergency services equipment type company. It looks like this is like kind of like a hose nozzle. Looks like kind of like fire truck products. And then this is another sort of fire product where, these a lot of these companies are offering firefighting solutions, which gives him, you know, if you look at the business model, right? Say you're the CEO of ILUS, right? And you have acquired these companies. Now, you don't need a major marketing team to sell fire support products. All you need to do is go around to townships locally and, far away, and basically just give them a promo video and then give them your pricing. If your pricing is competitive to what they're already buying and you have a product that's, you know, cutting edge, new and improved from what they're using, and your prices aren't that crazy, you can expect townships and, independent fire companies to want to use your product over what they're already using. And that's what I believe his marketing strategy is. Like, I'm looking at these products, they all look pretty sick. Um, Let me see if I can like hide myself. Whoop. Okay, cool. But check this out. This is Bullheads. This is another one of their companies, and they make aluminum truck beds for multi-use specifications. Um, But it's not just like for tow trucks. They also do like food trucks and stuff as well, which I'm seeing more and more food trucks, by the way, in my area. I don't know if anyone else is, but like, look, even stuff like this, like independent contractors, fish farms and pond services. Like, this guy's entire truck was fabricated by this company. And there's a lot of cool stuff. Like, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with their portfolio of companies. Like, every single company on their portfolio, I'm not asking myself after looking at it, like, how does this fit into their business model? Like, it's very, very apparent how all of these companies fit into their business model. BCD Fire. So this company is much like all of the fire alarm companies that I use as a general contractor. When I come into a commercial space, like one of the last things you do is you go in and you change out the fire alarm systems. So that way, you can get your test, and then the customer can get their use of occupancy for the space, and the owner can start charging that new tenant rent. Now, this company reminds me a lot of the companies that I use at my job. They do fire alarm systems basically. They do fire pump sets. They do fire extinguishers, and it doesn't seem like a lot, right? It's boring. This business looks boring, right? It's not as cool as the other ones. But if I'm being honest with you, I can probably tell you that this business is going to bring in the most steady, consistent revenue out of all of the businesses on their portfolio. And I say that because there's a company that we use on a lot of our projects that, even if we just buy fire extinguishers from them, fire extinguishers are expensive. For them to certify the fire extinguisher, which doesn't last all that long, and then you have to go get the recertification from them. It's a reoccurring business model. And look, these fire extinguishers can go for like 250, 250 a piece. They could be a little under 250 a piece. And there's a lot of profit to be made on just the fire extinguisher portion of the business. Even if they come in and they start doing the fire alarm system for you, I've written POs for fire alarm systems that have gone upwards of $8,000 for a commercial space, right? And out of that $8,000, I'm sure the company is netting like at least 4,000, which makes me think like, man, this is a good, reliable business that can bring in some revenue that can allow him to market his other, firefighting equipment and firefighting leading edge technology to these townships for their fire protection teams. And this is always good to see on a resume or a kind of like a company portfolio. It's good to see consistent revenue. And then the last one is kind of like it's called the Vehicle Converters LLC. And you look at their stuff, it's like they have robots, they have cost-effective mobile solutions, and it makes sense. You got food vehicles, food trucks, healthcare and ambulance, maintenance vehicles, mobile workshops. Look, they did one for an animal shelter. They basically just convert vehicles. Again, makes sense in their business model. The one thing you don't want to see in an acquisition company is 5 completely different businesses that have nothing to do with each other. That's what you don't want to see, because then you have to think about it from the company point of view. Then the CEO of ILUS would have to then go and market to 5 different kinds of consumer pools. He's marketing to the same consumers for every single one of these businesses, which is amazing to see from the side of an investor. Look, I've been starting to watch Alex Hormozi on YouTube, who is a really, really, really good businessman. He was the CEO of a firm. I believe he might have sold it or something like that. But needless to say, now he is in the double-digit millionaire pool. He has nothing to sell you on his YouTube channel. I don't believe there's any ads. There might be ads, I don't know. But he does a lot of good talks about business models and why they work. And he has this saying, right, where it's not really all that hard to make a good business if you know how to make a good business. And a lot of people don't know how to make a good business. And one of the things that he said that really resonated with me was, if you're looking to make a really, really good, successful business, do everything that the opposite of everything that would make a terrible business. Because it's a lot easier to think of the things that would make a business fail than it is to think of things that would make a business succeed. So if you start thinking about that, like over diversification of your business model, marketing to 5 different consumer pools, those are terrible business practices. And you can see that this company is not doing that. They're doing the opposite, which is a really, really good business model. And I believe it's probably why his revenue started picking up all this much. Because let's say you're marketing to someone that is in the food truck business, and let's say they don't need a new vehicle fabricated, but maybe they need like a aluminum like top for their truck. Or maybe you're marketing to a general contractor, and maybe they don't need fire extinguishers, but they need someone to come in and uninstall a fire suppression system. That's business. And then maybe you're pitching to a township for new low pressure fine water droplets or water mist, um, fire hoses, and they're not interested. But maybe they want a UTV vehicle. Maybe they want a fire suppression truck. Maybe they want something else, that you have to offer. That's where a successful business model like this just makes sense. I really, really like it. I'm not gonna lie, like this is just pretty interesting stuff. And I'm not just I'm not just saying that because Lou said the play or whatever. I do my own DD on every play. Like there's a guy in Discord that gave me a play on KC. I talked about KC for quite a while, and I ended up buying a ton of shares below $2. KC had its recent pump to 250. I took a little bit of profit off the table, but like when a stock moves from below $2 to 250, 260, like that's huge gains. And that's something that you have to keep in mind with these penny stock companies. ILUS, let's say they do 140 million in revenue this year, right? That would bring their stock price up close to 50% or more, because currently they're valued at 97 million. That wouldn't make any sense to have a company that's fundamentally valued at 97 million dollars when they're doing over 140 million a year. It also wouldn't make sense for a company like this that wants to become reputable to not buy back some of their shares at 7 cents, which would then drive their business model even further and then allow them to offer more shares down the line at a higher price. Now, because this company is legitimate, we saw their office, we saw like their companies in their portfolio of investing. There's some interesting things that I immediately think of when I see this company, right? Um, I think of one, I like the niche clientele that they apply to. Two, I like that every single company in their portfolio makes sense together. And three, I like how inviting they were to outside investors. Because that one guy that just showed up to the office, got a complete tour, got to meet the CEO of the company, which is crazy to me. Like, if anyone came to my company, right, and they were just someone off the street, and they had no business to offer me, and they wanted to just see the CEO, and the CEO is typically a very busy person in the company, um, that would immediately be a red flag for me, and I'd be like, no, right? But he's like, oh, come on in, let me show you some products and everything. Like, super cool dude. And that's the type of person that I want marketing the products that they own. And, they made an investor out of me. I'll just leave it at that. They made an investor out of me. I'm in for 35,000 shares of the company, actually. I think I might increase my stake as well because there's just something about this company that's just like screaming by me to me. It's very interesting. Like I can't explain it. It's just one of those things where I like the business model. I think the CEO is a super cool dude. And right now it's starting to get a lot more mentions on Twitter. It seems like it's starting to pick up in the social media space, and it seems like everyone else is starting to realize what's going on with their future earnings. So be on the lookout for ILUS. It's definitely one of those things that a lot of people are just going to overlook and see it as a 7-cent stock. But I think that if they can hit their 140 million in revenue by the end of this year, and then next year they get even higher, like 200 million, 300 million in revenue, you're going to see a acquisition company like this just absolutely blow up on the exponential scale. And if they start doing share buybacks, which is almost like without a doubt necessary when your shares of your stock are sitting at 7 cents, especially when you're making millions in revenue. Um, you're gonna look at your 7 cent stock down the line and how you have 35,000 of them, and this is absolutely a retirement stock. This is a stock that you could potentially retire off of if they continue to grow their revenue from 140 million at the end of this year to let's say 300 million next year to let's say buying back their stock at 7 cents. So that way their float goes from 1 million or 3 how many shares do they have in their float? Shares float. Close to 600 million shares in their float. If they start doing share buybacks, right? They're going to go from 600 million float in shares to what, let's just say like 2 or 300 million, something like that. All of a sudden, they're a low float stock, which a lot of people have probably shorted at 8 cents, 7 cents, which then goes to them, fundamentally being extremely undervalued, into potential short squeeze, into share buybacks, and it looks amazing. I've never seen a 7 cent stock look so good. And that's one of the things that Lou from Wall Street, Lou versus Wall Street, whatever. There's a lot of things that when he talks that resonate with me because we're both from like New Jersey / New York area, and I like a lot of the things that he does because in Jersey and New York, it's a lot of things are like word of mouth, right? And he kind of has like his own people around him that like will give him ideas and everything, and then he always vets those ideas, and he's really not a dumb guy. He's a really smart guy, and um, I love it. Like I just love the play. So whoever gave him this idea, because he did not take credit for it, he said someone else gave him the idea and he vetted it. So whoever gave him this idea, props, because you got an investor out of me. Like I'm in for at least 35,000 shares right now, and I want to increase that to probably 100,000 before this thing takes off and the next earnings report comes out. Because if I can sneak this for 7 cents, 6 cents per share, I'm definitely gonna load the boat because this just looks too good. It looks too good to be true. All right, and you have to think about it this way: like if the stock goes to 300 million in revenue, this 7 cent stock is going to be worth probably like 25, 35 cents, and that would be a 5xer. That would be a 5x juicer, right? So if you have 100,000 shares of this stock, and let's say they do share buybacks and everything like that, and this stock somehow gets back to $1, right? That's $100,000. Now, if you want to be one of those lifetime holders, right? If you want to lifetime hold something, this might be that company that could zero to hero it from the OTC markets. And there's a lot of OTC stocks that become very legitimate companies that decide to hop from the OTC market onto the NASDAQ or some other, or the New York Stock Exchange. And anyone who's invested in holding their OTC stock then gets shares of the real company in the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange stock, which is definitely a real possibility for this company and would give them even more capital to get even more acquisitions, to add more to their portfolio. Maybe they get a marketing team to kind of blast themselves out even more. I like it. All right, I like it. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I know Lou mentioned he wasn't going to do kind of a DD video on it, so I figured, oh, what a perfect opportunity for me to kind of do one. And this is a cool stock, man. Super cool stock. So check it out. Do your own DD. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks, guys. And I'm probably gonna make another video just because I saw this crazy like news release this morning on a stock that has been beaten down for a long time that everyone knows about, and it's like super well known in the Reddit and Twitter space. So gonna be doing a quick little hit piece on that after this, and I hope you like them. All right.